There are oftentimes things that get in the way of our relationship with God, in the way of our relationship with faith, that blocks us or stops us from being all that we can be or doing the most that we can do with our calling. In John chapter 11, John writes in verse 38, Jesus, again being moved deeply within, he came to the tomb of Lazarus. Now it was a cave, and the stone was laying against it, and Jesus said, remove the stone. There are always stones in life. Amen. There are always stones in our spiritual journey. Yes. Those are the things that tend to get in the way. Yes. Those habits, those hesitations, and those pesky humans. Because people can be in the way and prevent us from being who and what we are called to be. Amen. 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 Most times, the person that is in our way is ourselves. Amen. It's the stone of one's own heart. The seed that's on the stony heart or the rocky ground represents the person who may respond to the gospel with such enthusiasm, at least initially. But then the word does not sink in. When hard times come, persecution or difficulties, when the sun starts to beat down on you, we tend to give up all at once. See, people cannot commit to a Christian lifestyle when it's hard to commit to anything when it's not convenient. Amen. Ouch. Ouch. We like to commit to things that are only convenient. If it becomes difficult, I want a way out. I want to be able to leave the same way I came. Maybe that's just the culture that we're in. You think about the culture, that's the people, at least here in the West. The belief in marriage has gone away. So we want to come and go as we please. The stones in Jesus' day were laid in front of these grave sites. And they were laid in front of these grave sites for a few reasons. One was to keep the stank in. The other was to keep the robbers and some of the animals out. What are the things that the stone is keeping in or out of our hearts? That's what we want to examine today. So I hope that you would journey with me as we examine that today. First, let's understand in the text that faith is the way forward. Amen. 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 In this chapter 11 of John, we see the dichotomy of both doubt and faith. Doubt and faith. We see it with the disciples. When Thomas questions Jesus' decision whether they should go to Jerusalem or not. Thomas has his doubts. You know, Thomas as doubting Thomas, and he says, I have my doubts, but I'll go with you, even if it means death. Let's go with him and die. We see also Martha's doubt. It says to Jesus, if you had been there, then my brother would not have died. But for you, I want you to know that it's not unusual for you to wrestle with doubt in your faith. Wrestling with doubt does not make you less of a Christian. Wrestling with your faith does not make you less of a believer. You are not less Christian because you do. It is our faith that gives us the power to overcome our doubts. Amen. You will have doubts, but you can overcome those. In verse 39, Martha, the sister of the deceased, said to Jesus, Lord, by this time there is a stench. For my brother had been dead for 4 days. Seems like Jesus took his time to come. When Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick, he didn't move. And when he heard that he had died, he stayed where he was another day. Sometimes it's not because he did not care that he didn't move. We know that Jesus cared. But why didn't he move sooner? That's what Jesus says. He says to her, he says, did I not say to you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? Sometimes God has to wait while we're in our pain so that we can see his glory revealed. I was thinking on this week that the grace of God in contrast with the glory of God. You see, the grace of God is generally described as the unmerited favor of God. Blessings that we did not earn. While the glory of God is described as the manifestation of God's presence as much as we can perceive it or experience it. So grace sometimes is when God closes a door to stop you, to stop me, to stop us from making bad decisions. That's what grace is. But the glory of God is after we've made our bad decisions, him meeting us on the road, giving us his best robe, his ring, his shoes, and slaying the fatted calf. Amen. I don't think y'all get it. The grace of God sometimes is not letting us go astray. That's right. But the glory of God is God bringing us back and accepting us even after we lose. You see, the grace of God prevents you, prevents me from getting into bad relationships. But the glory of God is me being able to still smile afterward. You see, the grace of God. I feel like I'm talking to somebody. The grace of God is when God makes the crooked path straight. But the glory of God is keeping you straight on the crooked path. Grace. She said, "Oh, grace. I don't want to look, the grace of God is not tossing you into the fiery furnace.
Yes, that's true.
But the glory of God is God being with you in the fire.
Yes.
And you coming out not smelling like smoke. The grace of God is not you getting tossed in the lion's den. The glory of God is coming out of the lion's den without a scratch. To Lazarus, the grace of God is not getting sick. You see, there are people that haven't had any shots, any jabs, and haven't been sick a day in these last 3 years. And there are folks that have more shots than a little bit that's been sick all the time. It's grace. Grace is God not allowing you to suffer. Grace is not experiencing the pain. Or even experiencing death, as Lazarus did, for us metaphorically. Sometimes it's just an emotional death. See, that's what grief is. You lose someone you love, or lose something you love, and you grieve. That's an emotional death, and we have to recover from that. And some of us have experienced financial death. Let's say a bankruptcy, or sometimes for us it's just overdraft fees on the account. Some of us have maybe experienced we would call a spiritual death. That's when life begins feels or becomes devoid of purpose, meaning, and even hope. Still spiritually dead. Grace is not having to go through that in your life. That's what grace is. But glory. Oh, glory. It's having to suffer those things, but suffer well. To go through those things and keep going.
Yes, yes.
Look, glory is, as Bruce Lee said, not the easy life, but the strength to endure the difficult one. Right. That's what glory is. Right. So in verse 11, or chapter 11, verse 4, just earlier in the chapter, she comes to Jesus. Jesus says, this sickness, to Martha, that says, this sickness is not to end in death, but for the glory of God. So he just told her this a few days ago. The sickness is not to end in death, but it is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified by it.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Amen.
He's sick. Jesus says it's not going to end in death. Well, he did. Where your faith at? Amen. He's sick. It's not going to end in death. But Jesus, he did. Make it make sense. This is what Paul wrote in Romans 8 and 18. He says, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing to our future glory that's revealed in us. Amen. Look. I may be sick, but it won't end in death. Amen. Amen. I need somebody to say it won't end that way. Yes. Say it. Say, it won't end that way. It won't end that way. Now look, I may be broke, but it won't end that way. I may be broken, but it won't end that way. I may be at the bottom right now, but guess what? It won't end that way. He's dead. Jesus, you said it won't end in death. We have to believe that. We have to let the stones of doubt be removed. Yes. And let faith fuel us forward towards the grace and also the glory of God. Yes. Grace is for you, but glory is for everybody. Yes, yes, amen. Yes, yes. Grace is for you, but glory is for everybody. Jesus said to them, he says, remove the stone. So they removed the stone. When the stone is removed, those stones of doubt, those stones of stubbornness, those stones of fear, those stones that get in the way of our faith, then we make room for the glory of God. Amen. But we cannot have room when those things are in the way. That's right. That's right. In verse 14, just earlier, Jesus says, when he finds out that Lazarus is sick, they come to tell him Lazarus is sick, and then they come back and say, well, Lazarus has fallen asleep. And they say, well, if he's asleep, why we gotta go? He'll get better. Just let him rest. And Jesus said to them plainly, he said, Lazarus is dead. And then he says this, he says something cute. He says, and I'm glad for your sakes that I was not there.
Whoa.
Lazarus died, and I'm glad that I wasn't there. He says this, it says, Lazarus suffered this, and I wasn't there, so that you may believe. Now let us go to him. Maybe if Jesus came too soon, maybe if he stepped in too quickly, we wouldn't believe. Maybe God has to let us get so jacked up that the only way out of it is by him.
Yes.
You see, sometimes if you come too soon, if mama bailed you out too soon, if daddy bailed you out too soon, if grandma bailed you out too soon, maybe we don't get it. Maybe we gotta sit there in that little 4x9 cell. I was at Norwood. That's the worst place to be. I was at Norwood. I had a friend who decided to shop with, and I was with him. Like, man, if you was gonna do this, why didn't you tell me? Yeah, then I wouldn't have been so close to you. But now I'm an accomplice. And I gotta sit here. Sometimes you glad mama don't come too quick.
That's right.
You want her to cool off. Mama cool off a little bit. But sometimes we gotta sit in the situation a little bit and think about what's going on. Sometimes getting bailed out too quick, we don't get the lesson. And the lesson here isn't so much for Lazarus. You see, Lazarus, he's being used to show the glory of God to other people.
Amen. Amen.
Look, I want you to realize that sometimes you go through things and it's not for you.
Amen. Amen. Say it.
Sometimes you're like, God, why you put me in this situation? God, how did this happen to me? God, I don't deserve this. God, I've been good. I've been coming to church. I've been paying the tithes. I've been volunteering. I've been doing. God, how's this happening to me? Maybe it ain't happening to you for you.
Amen.
Okay.
You think it happened to Job for Job? Sometimes what you go through is for the person that's watching you go through it.
Amen.
No, the kids are watching you deal with these difficult times. How mama handled it, how daddy handled it, how grandma handled it, how they handle these situations. See, sometimes you have to be strong in those storms, not for you, but for them.
Amen.
Amen.
Glory. See, grace is usually personal. It's personal. God showed me grace. But glory, that's for everybody. You see, the glory allowed the Hebrew boys to get tossed into that fiery furnace. Grace would have not let them go. But they came out, and because they came out, all the people glorified and worshiped God.
Amen.
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 But because Daniel, being thrown into the lion's den, suffered this great tragedy, came out untouched. And when they saw Daniel come out of that situation, the king said, your God is God. I will worship him. And my people will worship him. You see, glory It's for other people. See, God. We see this with the other prophets in the Old Testament. Hosea had to suffer so that God could use his life as an example to bring others to him. And ultimately, we see this in the life of Jesus himself. Do you think Jesus earned his suffering? It was to bring glory of God to everyone else, so that we can see the fullness of God, so we can know the fullness of God. So sometimes grace don't come soon enough, but I want you to hold on for glory. Look. I'm going through this, God, and I'm going through it for you, but I'm not going to stop here. I'm not going to build my tabernacle in the desert. I'm just going to have a tent here because I'm just passing through, and I'm going to get to the other side. And when I get to the other side, I know there was eyes that was watching me the whole time, and some of them was waiting on me to fail. Some of them thought I failed, that I never make it, but your glory, God,
Amen.
brought me through.
Yes. Take your time. Take your time.
Grace is for you. The glory is for all.
Amen.
It's for all. And last, Lazarus. Oh, Lazarus. You got to take off your grave clothes if you're going to live. You got to take off your grave clothes if you're going to live. John 11:43 says, so they have removed the stone. Jesus says, I believe in you, God, but we're going to do this for them. He says with a loud voice, he cried out, Lazarus, I like how he said it, Lazarus, come out.
Amen. Yes, he did.
I heard a pastor say, Jesus had to say Lazarus come out, because if he just would have said come out, then everybody would have came out. It says, then came out the man who was dead. His hands were bound, his feet were in wrappings, and his head was wrapped, his face was wrapped around with a cloth. And Jesus said to them, the people who were there, unbind him and let him go. There are some things in your resurrected life, your resuscitated life, your new life, that you're going to have to take off. You're going to have to take off. Some things, quite honestly, some people can't go with you where you're going. In Ephesians 4, Paul says, he says, put off your old self. You got to take off your grave clothes. You got to take off the things that bound you to death. And the things that belong to the former life that is corrupt and deceitful and of the desires of the flesh. And to be renewed in the spirit and in your mind. And to put on your new self. You say to him, take these off and go and wash. It says, and be created in the likeness of God with true righteousness and holiness. So you can't put new wine in old wineskin.
No, amen. Amen.
You can't be made new wearing the same old outfit. Can't be made new doing the same old things. If you're made new, then a change happens. A change happens. You see, some things that bound you, Jesus has now freed you from. Remove the bonds. The cost of the things that wrapped around your head or polluted your mind or got in the way that way, you got to take those things off to be his new creation. Take off the grave clothes, and lived. The Bible says that Lazarus came out of the tomb. Jesus spoke to him, told him these things. And then verse 45 it says, because of all this that had happened, all the doubts, worries, fears, the sickness, and even the death of Lazarus, all these things happened. And then God's glory was shown after all these things. Some of us want to give up too soon, too quickly, and not let the thing play out. Amen. Trust God when He says it won't end in death. Amen. I don't know who needs to hear that today. You may be in a difficult space, in a difficult time in your life. It's people that you go to school with or that you work with, and they hate you and you don't know why. Seem like they out to get you, want to get you fired, get you canceled. You got people that don't like you and you don't know the reason. People that hate you. You got family members that talk about you behind your back.
Come on.
Friends who only call you when they need you, not to check on you. You feel like you're going through. God's just saying, just let it play out. Look, I know you're asking for grace, but I'm going to let you see the glory of God in all this. I'm going to let you see the wonderful works of God in all this. It says, though Mary and Martha, they suffered this great loss. They lost their brother. This was Jesus' close friend. When Jesus and his disciples, whenever they came from Jerusalem for the festivals, for the feast a few times a year, they would stay at their house. They were tight, they were close, they were friends. This inner circle. And they suffered this loss, and they feel like maybe Jesus could have prevented it. Because we've seen Jesus heal people from their sicknesses, from their diseases. We've seen Jesus even raise the dead on several occasions and stop people from dying on several occasions, cast out demons and do these things. Jesus, if you was here, it wouldn't have happened. God let it happen. In verse 45 it says, because of all these things that happened, because of all the things they suffered. You suffer a lot, and then you see the goodness of God after your suffering. You appreciate the goodness of God even more. It says, therefore, many of the Jews, you see, a lot of the Jews were coming to Jesus originally to stone him. They were coming to stone Jesus. Thomas says, we don't want to go. Don't you know they want to kill you? They're plotting your demise in Jerusalem. Why would we even go there? But if you want to go, we'll go. We'll die with you. He goes. Wow. And a lot of the people were there mourning, professional mourners who professionally mourn. They would cry and wail and go to the funeral. You know, in those days, at least in the Jewish culture, when you died, it wasn't a week or 2 week time period where we try to figure things out and plan the funeral. When you died, and the same day you died, you were buried. So he's in the tomb 4 days. Professional criers, they follow him to follow to see what's going on. We just there to mourn. Maybe Jesus is just going to the gravesite to pay his respects. We'll go pay my respects to the fallen. And it says, once he called him out, it says, many of the Jews who came to Mary saw what Jesus had done. Mary may have been upset with Jesus just a few minutes ago. But they came to see you. They came to see you. And they saw the glory of God through you. They saw God shine his glory through you. We came to see you. We came to be sad with you. We came to send our condolences, to weep and to mourn. But when your morning turns to mourning, because weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning.
Yes.
And when God turns your situation around, he can turn around the people that are watching your situation.
Amen.
It says, and they believe in him. He asked them to remove the stone so that they could see the glory of God. That stone that blocked the tomb wasn't the only stone that was moved that day. But the stones that were in front of people's hearts allowed them now to see the glory of God. And on today, our challenge for us is to really analyze the things that are in the way of God, from letting us truly experience the fullness of God. I know we love the grace of God, but when you see his glory, because in this life we will have troubles. There's no escaping that. But we can overcome it and see the glory of God when